Okay, Josh Steimle here. This is a historic day. This is the beginning of something big. I'm here with Marek from Czech Republic. He and I just met last week and we're starting to do filming here. So let me just tell you a little bit about what's going on here. So we're in Shenzhen, China. I just moved here today from Hong Kong. We packed up my family this morning. We crossed the border with a bunch of luggage, and how crazy this is that we just decided we were going to move here 6 weeks ago or something, and now we're here. We found a place, we just signed on it. We're moving into our apartment. My wife's back there with the kids moving stuff in. And before we even planned on moving here to Shenzhen, I set up 2 appointments to speak. One is with Accelerator. I'm going to do a PR workshop there, and then later tonight I'm going to be interviewed at Shenzhen Startup Grind. So I already had those appointments in place, and just coincidentally we're moving to Shenzhen on the same day that I'm doing these talks. This is a historic day starting MWI in Shenzhen. I'm going to be growing my digital marketing agency here, and it's just kind of a crazy day, and I hope it stays crazy like this.
It's a hustle day, you know?
This is super hustle day. This is like, and mom's at the bank exchanging Hong Kong dollars for RMB because we forgot to exchange before. So we're just going through all this crazy stuff, and I'm talking with Lucas, this guy who's setting up all the incorporation for our business here, and I'm sending him documents, and he needs copies of passports, and I'm sending him all sorts of stuff. And it's just one thing after another, and it's so fun to run business this way. And Marek and I were just talking about, okay, let's do video stuff, like let's work together, but we don't even have it worked out like how this is going to work. We're just kind of doing this. We were just talking about culture, this whole culture of, I'm just going to dive in and I'm going to do stuff with good people because I know this is going to work out into something great. As we produce footage here and try to turn me into the Gary Vaynerchuk of China or something. So
say hi to Gary.
Yeah, hi Gary. I'm reverse engineering you right now, but in China. That's what we're doing here. 2 weeks ago, I also got introduced to Isla, who is in Singapore, and all of a sudden we're opening an office in Singapore as well, and she's opening it there, and that's just another bit of craziness that's been going on. But she's one of those people that just dives in and just does stuff, like Marek's doing here with video, and she, before we even had a contract in place or anything, she's selling, she's going to pitch meetings on our behalf, she's blogging on our website, and we don't even have a contract, we don't even know what she's getting paid, and she's already doing all this stuff, but now it's turning into a job for her. And Marek and I were talking about the type of people that we like to hire at MWI and how we're growing the team, and I look for those kind of people who just jump in and start hustling and just start doing stuff. And I love working with people like that because that's how I am. I mean, if I weren't getting paid, I would still be doing this. Or at least I'd like to still be doing it. I'd have to do something else, but I love what I'm doing. Running a business, starting a business, growing this, seeing it finally flourish after 16 years of mostly failure, and now it's growing rapidly. This is so fun, and it's so fun to work with people who are into that too. Yeah, actually my laptop is in the shop right now. I'm getting repaired. I went in the other day and they're like, we need 5 days to fix your laptop. Like the trackpad just doesn't work, it doesn't click. And like the laptop's my whole business. I can't be without my laptop for 5 days. And then I was like, you know what, maybe I should try running my business from my phone for 5 days and just see what happens. So I'm on the 3rd day into it right now, and I'm kind of going through withdrawals still, but it is amazing how much you can do on a phone. I'm learning how to delegate a lot, actually, is what's happening.
Second speaker.
Hello.
Ni hao.
Karina is the program director for Acts for the Chinese team.
Ni hao. Ni hao.
Yeah, we're going to need translation because we have a lot of Chinese teams. Sorry, little detail, but actually matters a lot.
Speak slowly.
Speak slowly,
Pause.
pause. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this is Penny, this is
Hello.
Josh.
Ni hao.
Penny will help you translate, and I think it will be easier than this morning. We were talking about semiconductor on the drums and all those
I won't get
technical
technical,
things.
so. Thank you. Just because you have a better product does not mean that you are going to win or beat your competition. When it comes to your products, and when it comes to many other products out there, often the difference between winning and losing is marketing, is PR. Because for the consumer, the buyer, the perception is the reality. What they think is the better product is what really becomes the better product for them. So I started writing for Forbes and publishing articles there. And as soon as I started writing about digital marketing, I started just giving away secrets. I was telling people how to do all the things that we did. And as soon as I did that, we started getting a lot of phone calls. People would read the articles that I wrote about digital marketing, and they'd say, oh, wow, this guy is in Forbes. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Why don't we just go hire him to do this work for us? And so in the 12 months after I started writing for Forbes, my business grew by about 1,300% in revenue. So if you want to get a writer to be more likely to write about your company, you need to do an individual, focused pitch just for one writer at a time. And to convince a writer that you're only giving them this opportunity, you have to say things in the email that you send them that show them that you're talking only to them and not to anybody else. Okay. So the number one thing that people do wrong with their PR pitches is they send out the same pitch to hundreds of writers. But here's the problem with doing everything I've already told you just now. The problem is everybody else is already getting smart and doing all of this. So if you were trying to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you went somewhere to meet people, you wouldn't just walk up to people and say, hey, do you like me? But when it comes to pitching the press, this is what a lot of entrepreneurs do. They just send an email to the press and say, hey, do you like me? Do you want to write a story about me? That's too much, too soon. So you need to help the journalist get to know you a little bit by developing a relationship and by talking to them, by finding out what they like to write about.
I think also in your interaction with them, you will start to understand what are their challenges.
Yeah.
And it's not just language. It's not language, actually, in fact.
There's culture too.
Language is the context. And actually, you had the same exact problem when you started your speech. Your examples didn't work for this audience.
Yeah.
Because they were not the right culture, not the right age. They didn't even know the companies, not even the technologies, right?
Yeah.
So it's fine because it was just like to get into the idea of like the concept that not the best technology wins. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
But when you talk to a Chinese audience later, you have to find Chinese relevant examples.
Yeah.
Generationally and culturally relevant.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, and the challenge is to also have a speech that works for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
Yeah. I'd still love to get like a quick tour of the place. Like I want to see the whole. So what you want to do is look at a Forbes contributor and find one that is kind of in your space. And then you take what I talked about in there, which is you write the story, and you take the story to them and you say, look, I know you're a contributor. You're really busy. It's hard for you to get stories out. Let us make this easy for you. Here's a story. We've already written it. Here are a couple of quotes. Here's some data. Here are some videos. Put the video up on YouTube so you can just send them the link and say, hey, here's a video that you can link to. Here's some graphics that show what we do. This is, how do you say it?
Wachanbei.
Wachanbei. This is where all the electronic stuff in the world comes from, or it's prototyped at least. Yeah, we were here at Hacks Accelerator for 3 hours. It went super fast. We talked with 6 or 7 teams after the initial chat, and that translation was fun. That was interesting. It's kind of nice to do translation because when the person's translating, you can be thinking of what you're going to say next. So it was kind of nice to have like these pauses and translating stuff. But anyway, so I talked for a few minutes, and then we did some Q&A, and then we did these individual sessions with companies where they came in and basically did a little pitch, and then we talked about what they could do in terms of PR. And that was fun. And the best part is that all these companies have amazing ideas. They're doing stuff where you see it and you think, wow, like this is game changing for somebody. I mean, some of the stuff isn't stuff I'd use, but there are industrial uses, there are B2B companies and stuff where I'm looking at, I'm like, man, this is huge. Like this is, look, amazing stuff. So one of the big issues with companies is, I run a digital marketing agency. Companies come to us all the time and they have a bad idea or a bad product, and they say, hey, help us market this, help us put this on Kickstarter. And we can't fix a bad product. These companies in here at Hacks, they have amazing products, and they're showing me this stuff, and I'm thinking, I get this in 10 seconds. I understand what this does. I understand the value proposition. I know how it saves people money. I know how it increases safety. I get all that in 10 seconds. And I actually wrote one guy's pitch for him. I said, let me just write your pitch right now for a journalist. And I just typed it up for him right there. And I said, just send this out to people. Make a 30-second video. Send out this pitch to people. I guarantee you'll get press from this. So anyway, it's just some of these stories just write themselves, and it's so refreshing to sit down with so many companies that are doing amazing products. Where are we going? What am I buying? Am I doing this wrong?
Yeah. Should be.
There we go. Because I was having such a great time.
Yeah.
I wasn't having a great time waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning to do these interviews with people in New York, but I was having a great time listening to their stories and being able to ask all these questions. And that was just such an amazing experience to get time with, I mean, like the CMO of GE. Like I'm talking to her, and the whole time I'm just like, I can't believe I'm having this conversation like that. They let me do this for an hour with her.
Yeah.
Like people pay big money to sit down with her for an hour, and I'm just getting this, and it's no big deal. And
did you get a lot of face-to-face time, or was it over the phone?
Almost all of it was over the phone because I was living in Hong Kong.
Right.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I heard you're moving to Shenzhen.
I've actually, yes, I am moving. That's the right way to put it. Yesterday I was going to move. Today I'm moving.
That's very accurate.
My wife is actually at our apartment right now, moving in, so that we are literally in the process.
Okay.
But before we start, could you just give us a little bit of overview about what you actually do? Because I could be just reading this, but I think it's going to be better to hear it from you.
What do I actually do? Well, I do what everybody else doesn't want to do. That's what gets left over for the founder of the company. So, but yeah, this is interesting too, being on the other side of the mic. I've done 20-something of these interviews sitting in your seat, and now I get to be in the hot seat. So this is kind of interesting. It's easier being in that seat, I
Yeah,
think. You
it
just
is.
you ask the questions, nobody really pays attention to you, and now it's kind of weird being here. If I start asking you questions halfway through, it's just I've gone into like startup grind mode and I forgot which side of the interview I'm supposed to be on.
Yeah.
And then we actually watched that Wired magazine documentary on Shenzhen. How many people watched that? Okay, a couple.
You should watch
go
it.
watch that tonight. It's amazing, and it's a really well done documentary on the startup scene and the maker scene and everything here in Shenzhen. And we were watching that, and this is like 6 weeks ago. So this is how fast this happened. So 6 weeks ago, my wife and I are planning on moving to Singapore, and we watched this documentary. And then my wife turns to me and she says, "Maybe we should move to Shenzhen instead of Singapore." And also for the business, I mean, this is the big opportunity in Asia. India is a big country, of course, but China is really developing so quickly, and there's so much opportunity here. It's safe. We feel comfortable here, and so to come here and to have a chance to open an office for the agency here, we just felt like, yeah, we can't pass this up. Like, now's the time to do this, and it's now or never. And the funny thing that happened is we made that decision, and then 2 weeks ago we found somebody to open the Singapore office. And so now it was like validation, like, okay, we made the right move. We didn't need to go to Singapore. We already have somebody there who's opening that office now.
But give me one thing that all of us here can do right now to, make it better for our blogs, for our websites. What is the SEO thing that we can change right now and is going to help us to get higher?
Well, I'll give you a really, really simple one. I mean, this is like SEO pre-101, but check your darn meta tag, your meta home title tag on your homepage, because it's so funny. Like, so when you go to a search engine and you type in some service that you want, and then a list of websites come up, and you've got a link across the top, and then a little bit of text that kind of describes what the website is about, and then it'll show like the URL that you would actually go to if you click on that. That text at the top, that linked text, that comes from the title tag on your homepage or whatever web page is coming up in the search results there. And it's so funny when we have clients come to us and we look at that title tag there and it says home or homepage, and that's all it says. And Google puts so much weight, and I know, yeah, it's not Google here, it's Baidu, but it's the same thing. So Baidu's just following in Google's footsteps. They're like 4 or 5 years behind them, but it's all the same stuff. So it's funny though, like people don't put in that, I mean, that home title tag is so key to ranking for a word. And when I see people put in home or homepage or just leave the default stuff in there, I'm just like, oh, come on, like that takes 5 seconds to fix and it makes a huge difference in your SEO. So I mean, if you don't have that fixed, then you're not even starting to play that SEO game. But after that, the name of the game is really creating content. So you want to create great content that your people, your customers, your audience love. And this the easiest way to do this is just to answer questions. Your customers have questions. You should have answers on your websites to those questions. And this is really easy to figure out what questions they're asking. You just go ask them, what do you want? Or if you have a customer service department, what are the most commonly asked questions that come into your customer service department? Instead of answering those questions over and over and over again on the phone or through email or through chat, write a blog post that answers that question, then just send that to everybody. And then that page will start coming up in search results when people type that question into the search engines. And that's just a really, really basic way to improve your SEO. But it's amazing how many companies do none of that stuff. Is that marketing is 2 things. It's the content and it's the channel, or the way that it gets delivered. So the content, it's what kind of content are you producing? Is it question and answer? Is it helpful? Is it entertaining? What is the content that you have, and is it the right content to reach your audience? And then how do you deliver that content to your audience? Is it through video? Is it through written word? Is it through audio? How do you deliver that? What's the channel? You have to have empathy for your consumer. Mm-hmm. And what is empathy? It's just understanding the person you're marketing to. If you don't get that as a marketer, you can't even get started. And you see a lot of companies that do this. They come out with marketing campaigns and you're like, that's so stupid. Like, that cannot possibly reach the people they're trying to reach. And yet somebody spent millions of dollars on this ad campaign that nobody's going to listen to. So you see people miss this because they depend on focus groups or they rely on the wrong sort of data. This came up with a lot of interviews. The CMO said, you know, big data is great, but it can only take you so far. You still have to rely on common sense and intuition and really understanding the client or the customer. And so you've got to have that empathy. You really just got to get it and understand it.
So like, that's it. Over 30.
The ideal way to keep in touch with people is to produce content that they want to consume, that gives them valuable information, that helps them do their job better. And if you create that kind of content, you set yourself up as a thought leader, then they'll come to you and you won't have to go to them. Because every day. I mean, 5 days a week. That was pretty awesome. I've never been with such a energetic crowd. That was the energy level there was just awesome. It was great. I mean, tons of good questions, and it's fun because I get to talk about stuff that I know something about, and yeah, they just made it easy.
Okay, so let's try the hot pot, I guess.
Closed.
Now we're looking for some food.
Too late, you know? Hustling too much. Because she was clicking it for me, so it didn't actually have that flow, you know. So I think we will have to do it again, you know. Oh my God, no! I don't want this. No brains. No brains. I don't want brains.
Josh, you want a brain?
No, thank you. I can handle not having a brain. Me. Peanut sauce, soy sauce, sesame seeds.
You need to put it in. Let's do it.